Aloha. My name is Christine Heath. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist. I practice in Hawaii. I live on the Big Island, and I work with clinics both on Oahu and in the Big Island. I have been running an agency, this agency, since 1985 when I moved to Hawaii. And I've been in the mental health field since 1970-something, a long time. I was 14 at the time, but no. So I've been in the mental health field for quite a bit, for a long time. And I've been going back and forth between Hawaii and Minnesota. I also had the Minnesota Counseling and Education Center for about 10 years. But now I am totally moved back to Hawaii, and I'm working with professionals. I work with other training professionals to do this kind of work, as well as working with adolescents in high schools and families. We have an outpatient substance abuse program. I believe it is the longest running outpatient substance abuse program based on the principles in the world. We also have a marriage and family therapy practice, and we work with the judiciary in Hawaii and work with adolescents that have been adjudicated because of some kind of crime to another person. So we operate what's called a victim impact class. We do anger management and domestic violence work with also for the judiciary in Hawaii. I've been working from the principles since 1980, December of 1980 it was, and I was a very traditional therapist before that, and went to a training on the three principles, although we didn't even call it the three principles at the time. It was just this new psychology. And I went there looking for a husband, and so I was looking for love. And unfortunately, or fortunately, as the case may be, I got what I was looking for, love. Did not come in the form of a man at the time, so, but I knew that what I found was something that was going to change the world and change the profession, and most of all, change my life. And I knew that I'd be teaching this for the rest of my life, which has actually really happened. So I've been teaching and working from the principles since 1980, because I went to a weekend thing and basically changed my practice after that weekend. I remember going back to my clients and telling them that I'd learned something new, and I'd always done what I thought would be the best for them to have their life be something that they would enjoy living, and for them to be able to have relationships that were rewarding and just not have depression and anxiety. And it was really funny because they saw such a change in me that they would have followed me anywhere, really, because they could see that I was better and they wanted what I had. So whatever I was drinking, they were going to start drinking it, you know. So that was the beginning of the journey. It was a very magical time, kind of a mystical time, because I changed so dramatically, and most of the colleagues that I had never seen anybody change that dramatically. So they thought that I'd either like join the Moonies, which was a kind of a cult group at the time. I was on drugs, or I'd met a man. And those are the three options that you would have to have that kind of a change in a human being. So I started working, and I knew that I couldn't go back because I didn't really know what I was doing. But it was interesting because every day of that, for the next month basically, there was something that would happen that it was like, oh, got to change that, or I've got to do this differently. It was really such a magical time, because every time I'd see something, I'd get the giggles, and then I'd get terrified that someone would find out how different this really was, you know. And you have to understand, at that time in the mental health field, it was considered bad practice to be positive in therapy. And in fact, I got kicked out of a supervision group because they asked me what I was doing, and I said, well, it's positive. And they said, well, you have to get out of this supervision group. So it was quite a time in the whole field of psychology, and it was a beautiful time for me, because I had been depressed for about, really depressed for about 10 years, but on and off depressed, I think, since I was about in the 6th grade. So I was not happy, and I was very burned out. I had eczema on my skin. I was waking up every hour on the hour. And I went to the weekend, and I suddenly changed. I mean, all of that went away over the weekend. It never came back. So I haven't been depressed a day since. So that was like 30, 40 years ago, 35 years ago. And that's the hope that and why I keep doing this, is because I know that, like my mother told me, she said, honey, you tell your clients if this can work for you, it can work for anybody. So you know, if your mother tells you that, you know you've really changed. So it's, you know, it's been such a gift to me that I have something to offer people more than just coping with the distress that they're living in. And that's why I do this work, and that's why I will do it for the rest of my life. You know, my husband always asks me if I'm going to retire and travel with him. And I tell him I can't retire from this. You know, it's like, how could you have the answer to the suffering of humanity and then decide to retire? To me, it's like, it's unfathomable. It doesn't make sense to me. So I'll probably be doing this when I'm 80. Judy and I will be working together. Mm-hmm. Hey, are you ready to do your talk today? We'll be in the nursing home probably, still helping people in the nursing home deal with being in the nursing home. But that's the fun of it. I mean, it's like the other part of it is there's so much fun and there's so much reward. I mean, like, you know, it's like people get in tears because their life has been restored. How can you, like, not be grateful for that and want to keep helping the world? So, yeah, that's what I do.